It's Saturday the 27th of May. There's Stella at the back. The back set of canes has runner beans, then two sets of French beans in the canes on the front. They're not doing very well. Plug plants, I think I've heard that it's better if you plant them from seed. Next to that is garlic, which I haven't watered at all yet. Perhaps may do that or need to. In the netted area next to that is cabbages, and then some broad beans at the front, an apple tree just behind that, and cabbages further on, and some spinach as well. I'm getting some slug damage on these cabbages, and I think I probably need to do some intercropping. There's some nasturtium coming up there and around the base of the apple, and then there's broad beans, and I think perhaps weeds in amongst the broad beans. And in here there are cabbage and spinach, and again some slug damage on the cabbage, and it doesn't seem to be growing that much, and I'm watering it. Pardon me, I'm watering it quite a lot. Some wild grass, nice for frogs, and I do see frogs amongst those. The willow is quite vigorous. I am going to coppice and pollard that, so just trying to build up my confidence to do that really. These are those purple rain alliums, which look quite nice, and there's some chives as well in the background. These seem to quite like that. Then there's an apple and various things planted in that square around the apple, that square of bare earth. And then in front of the sort of defender netting stuff, there's some peas, strawberries, and this garlic. I don't know where this garlic's come from actually, but anyway, it seems to work okay. Perhaps it repels pests from the strawberries, I'm not sure. There does seem to be a slug crawling across that defender mesh. Right on the floor there is on the ground are these two jasmines, star jasmines that you got me, Mum, and they really have, I think they've perished. I think maybe this area might be a bit too waterlogged. I'm going to get another jasmine to go in there, perhaps a bigger one, and I think I will perhaps dig out a hole and maybe try and get a little bit more free draining before I plant. A half standard apple there, early stages of its life. Here's the perennial kale, Stella behind there. And to the right there's some very nice irises, and I think behind is an escallonia which I pruned hard a year or two ago and it hadn't flowered, but it looks like, good, it looks like it's starting to get ready to flower this year, so nice. Okay, and a nice kind of thistle. Apples behind Stella as well. There's plant of peas and various crops in here. This is where I did have the Jerusalem artichokes, but I've tried to dig those out really thoroughly and carefully. Putting an echinacea in there. Some peonies behind. Apples. Stella. And lots of grass. This is all garlic in here, with a few weeds in amongst it as well, but I think it's okay. Again, maybe need to water, the soil's starting to split a bit. Yeah. So it needs weeding and watering. And there's various things in amongst all this very long grass. I think I might put a cherry in amongst this long grass at some point, and a couple of honeyberry bushes. I bought the honeyberry bushes, so I might plant them this. Well, I will plant them this year. Okay. Garlic in there. Okay, and then there's the lavender hedge, which is just sort of starting to show signs of coming into flower. There's sort of vetch in these little pot, little beds. There's garlic at the front there. The poppies, that's fine. And lots of grass, but the trees seem to be okay. This is the Irish peach tree, which I think is one of the earliest apples, and you can see they're sort of starting to come there. I think these will be some kind of upside daisy or something, and behind us the very nice smelling white wildflower, whitey sort of purple. So we've got raspberries, lots of weeds amongst the raspberries, but it seems to be okay, I think. Rescuable, I think. I've got in the back here, I'm afraid the Stella Magnolia seems to have perished as well. It's hidden amongst that lot there, but I don't think it's the lack of light that's stopping it. I think perhaps it's got sort of quite delicate, shallow roots apparently, and apparently maybe I've sort of trampled them or something going across. Not sure. These stars there. I've just planted some perennial things here. I think this is a Russian sage, and I can't remember what that's called. Elizabeth Dykes, something Elizabeth Dykes, I think. And then there are various perennial geraniums. I think it's Johnson's Blue I've planted in amongst that lot. So anyway, hopefully that bed will do okay. Here, Stella's knees. Okay, that's everything. So very lucky to have Stella visiting. That's lovely. Okay, looking down now. Again, you can see lots of weeds. Some of them tolerable, some of them may be like thistles next to the path. They need to remove. A lot of goose grass in amongst the raspberries, nettles down there. Still some busy bumblebees amongst the raspberries, so that's quite nice. But again, I don't feel I've seen as many bees this year. Maybe when the alliums come in, hopefully I'll see more. Pear in amongst those daisies. I probably need to water it soon. Apple. This pear, this Burr Hardy, seems to have some kind of disease on it, but I think it'll. Sort of see here. I don't think that's necessarily due to drying, but I think I will water it soon just to see how we go. And obviously it's got weeds in amongst it as well. Yeah. apple here. Plum seems to be doing okay. This is the apple from the garden, the Discovery. This is the Gage, which I've pruned. These are Victoria plums, I think, and the cherry in the background seems to be okay-ish. Gooseberries coming in. Path down to the sort of wildflower meadow bit. Starting to come in. I think that's probably the yellow. I think is probably yellow rattle. Seems to have gathered in an area. What's overgrown here? Mum's rosemary there. Some oregano there. Some sage in there. Oops. That's a James Grieve apple. Hawthorn. Right. Taunton Dean kale, a lot happier since it's been netted. Beetroot, a courgette. A lot of rust on this comfrey here at the back. Alliums starting to come, and the purple rain allium is an earlier one. Courgette okay-ish. Apple here, I've planted some blue scabious either side of that. We'll see if that comes. It's taking a lot of water to keep that moist. Cauliflower and beetroot there. Again, a bit of slug damage. Peas. I need to sort of stake in some of the ones that are, on the outside. Runner beans and peas, and behind French beans and peas, planted from seed, and broad beans as well. All good, really. The grafted apples. I think you're kind of doing those as apple columns, possibly. I'm not quite sure. Need to have a bit of a think about how to deal with those. Roses. Okay, might need some water soon. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.